holding Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress this week. So he failed to hand over the audio recordings. You guys have been asking for that for a long time. All of America wants to hear these audio recordings from his sit down with Robert Hur, because again, what we're seeing with the sit down is the transcript and paper. But I think a lot can come from when you hear these audio recordings. Why is it so important to get the audio tapes?
Well, first of all, he waived the presidential privilege when he voluntarily testified. Now, that's pretty clear in law. U.S. versus Mitchell, very, very clear. And secondly, what do the tapes say? If there is a suspicion based on earlier conduct by the Department of Justice that perhaps the tapes aren't exactly accurate.
Yeah.
And we have a duty as Congress, we're the third branch of government, to step in and oversee the investigation if we see there's possibility of either bias or malfeasance. And we have an obligation to do that by Constitution. And we will get those tapes. We will put him in contempt, and we will not give up until the tapes are there, because Congress has a right, American people have a right to see them and hear them.
Yeah, I agree. So a vote could be as soon as Wednesday. So do you think that this will go through? Do you think that you will be able to vote to hold him in contempt?
I do. I think Congress should, by our constitutional duty, hold him in contempt. And then do I think that it'll go very far? Well, Congress doesn't have a lot of power to enforce, but we're not going to give up on this. We have Jim Jordan, we have a lot of heroes, what I call patriots, that want to exercise our constitutional duties as a Congress, and this is one of them.
So I know a big primary in Virginia next week. You're from Montana, but you've been campaigning for Bob Good's opponent, John McGuire. Why is John McGuire better than Bob Good for Congress?
Well, it's no secret. I'm chairman of SEAL PAC. So there's 5 SEALs in Congress. We think we can get 7, and we think we can get 1 in the Senate.
Okay.
And look, it's about service and not self-service. And I agree with President Trump that Mr. Good has been a disaster. He's been destructive for the Republican Party, he's been destructive for the conference, he's been destructive for the Freedom Caucus, and he's been destructive for his district. So President Trump and I strongly support John McGuire, and we'll leave it at that.
From your experience, how much weight does that Trump endorsement carry?
Well, there's only one endorsement that really carries weight, and that's President Donald J. Trump. Because I think President Trump, this is a movement as much as it is about a candidate. America looks at where we are today, and either it's foreign shores, domestic shores, lack of a border. America is not where President Biden is and his group. And so there's a huge gap. This is a movement, and President Trump is ahead of that movement. And quite frankly, I think we should be unified as a party and find candidates that will serve the country and not self-serve.
And I know you are a proud Navy SEAL, and as you know, over the weekend, that 4 hostages were able to be rescued in Gaza, 4 Israeli hostages that had been there since October 7th. Take a listen, though, to how some of the media thinks this should have been done. Take a listen.
Still, there are concerns that Saturday's rescue may hurt efforts to reach a ceasefire and free the remaining hostages, including the 8 Americans, 3 of which are believed to have been killed. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the region today to try and secure a deal, but the rescue will likely make his efforts even more difficult. And that's why the administration may negotiate directly with Hamas to release the remaining American hostages if the current proposal fails.
Shouldn't the main focus be to get these people home, to get these hostages out at any cost, any time?
Absolutely. As a former SEAL, and also who's our ally and who's not.
Exactly.
What I'm looking at seems to be a pro-Iranian, in some cases, Department of State, and I say that in all honesty.
Yeah.
You'll look at where's the head of the stake in this. Whether it's the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, it's Iran. And Iran does not change its behavior unless you cut the head off the snake. So our focus should be on Iran. Hamas, right now there is no Hamas army per se. It's distributed. They have arms, caches everywhere. So as you go through one building, there's tunnels. You may secure that building and move forward, but behind you, you still have caches. And in the case of the hostages, Israel did what they needed to do, and Israel will do what they need to do to protect their nation. And the United States should be an ally, a strong ally, and give no uncertainty where we stand in the Middle East. And right now, we're waffling. But we've waffled in Afghanistan, we've waffled in Ukraine, we've waffled in Venezuela, we've waffled in China, and we're waffling in Israel, because this administration on policy, foreign policy, is a waffle and weak, and the world knows it.